What if the thing raising your blood sugar every morning had nothing to do with dinner? What if it wasn't your medication, wasn't your willpower, and wasn't something you could find on a food label? I've had this conversation with hundreds of patients over 60, and the answer, every single time, surprised them. You already work hard at this. I want to acknowledge that before anything else. You read the labels. You sat through the nutrition classes. You walk after dinner when your knees cooperate. You take your medication on schedule. Sometimes you even set a reminder so you never miss a dose. And then Tuesday morning arrives. You check your glucose. And the number staring back at you makes absolutely no sense given everything you did the day before. I had a patient, I'll call her Margaret, who described it to me like this. I feel like I'm doing everything they told me to do, and my body just isn't listening anymore. Are some version of that sentence almost every week. And I want to offer you a different explanation. Not an excuse and not false hope, but a real physiological reason why that happens. One that your doctor may not have had time to explain in a 15-minute appointment. Because once you understand it, the solution becomes surprisingly, almost frustratingly, straightforward. I've spent the last 2 decades working with patients navigating the specific health challenges that come after 60. Not the textbook version of aging, the real daily experience of it. In this video, I want to walk you through what I call the 3-window protocol, a simple, evidence-based approach to when you drink water that can meaningfully shift how your body manages blood sugar throughout the day. No supplements required, no special equipment, just water, used strategically at the right moments. Before we go any further, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. This community reaches so many different places, and I genuinely love seeing that. And if this is your first time here, welcome. This channel is about understanding what health actually looks like after 60. Hit subscribe if this kind of conversation helps you. Now, an important note before we go further. Nothing in this video replaces your doctor's guidance or your current treatment plan. Managing blood sugar after 60 is a medical matter. What I'm sharing today is meant to complement your care, not substitute for it. Please talk to your doctor before making any changes to your routine. All right, let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body. Here's what most people don't realize. Blood sugar management isn't just about insulin. It's a system. And after 60, multiple parts of that system begin operating at reduced capacity simultaneously. The first change is one you've likely heard of. Insulin resistance. Your cells gradually become less responsive to insulin's signal, like a door that's warped over the years and takes more force to open. The key still works, but the effort required has quietly increased. The second change is in your pancreas. After decades of continuous work, it simply doesn't produce insulin as efficiently as it once did. Less insulin available means less capacity to process the glucose that enters your bloodstream after meals. The third change is in your kidneys. Under normal conditions, your kidneys act as a kind of glucose cleanup crew, filtering excess sugar that spills into the blood. After 60, that filtration becomes less precise. Glucose lingers longer than it should. And then there's the fourth change, the one that almost never gets mentioned, and it's the most relevant to what we're discussing today. After 60, the part of your brain responsible for detecting dehydration becomes significantly less reliable. In your younger years, your hypothalamus, the brain's fluid monitoring center, would send a clear thirst signal at the earliest sign of dehydration. After 60, that signal dulls. It arrives late or not at all. The practical result? A large portion of older adults are chronically underhydrated without ever feeling thirsty. And here's why that matters specifically for blood sugar. When your blood doesn't have enough fluid, it becomes more concentrated. Glucose doesn't dilute and flow freely, it accumulates. Think of it like a highway system during rush hour, except instead of too many cars, half the lanes are closed. Traffic that used to move smoothly now backs up. That's what happens to glucose when the bloodstream is running low on fluid. Research indicates that even mild dehydration, just slightly below your body's optimal fluid level, can push fasting glucose readings up by 10 to 20 points. Not because you ate anything different, Not because your medication stopped working, simply because your blood didn't have the fluid it needed to do its job. And you didn't feel thirsty, because after 60, that warning system can no longer be trusted. Let me tell you about Margaret. She was 67 when she first came to me, a retired school librarian, sharp and detail-oriented, and genuinely baffled by her numbers. Over the previous 3 months, her fasting readings had been erratic: 158 one morning, 174 the next, 161 the day after. No clear pattern, no obvious trigger. She'd been managing type 2 diabetes for 9 years. She knew the rules. She followed them. One of the first things I ask new patients is about the first hour of their morning, specifically when they first drink anything. Margaret told me she usually woke around 7 a.m., took her medication, had a small breakfast around 45 minutes later, and then had her first glass of water sometime mid-morning, when I think of it. That phrase, when I think of it, is one I hear constantly. I asked her to track her fluid intake for 1 week. No changes yet, just observation. What she found surprised her. Most mornings, she went 2 to 3 hours after waking without any fluids at all. And on many days, her total water intake by midday was under 2 cups. We made one change, just one. Every morning, within 10 minutes of waking, before the medication, before breakfast, before coffee, Margaret drank 12 ounces of room temperature water with a small pinch of sea salt and a half squeeze of fresh lemon. That was the entire intervention. Nothing else changed. Within 2 weeks, her morning readings had shifted. Instead of 158 to 174, she was consistently seeing 135 to 148. After 4 weeks, her average fasting glucose had dropped by more than 18 points. Same medication, same diet. One change: when she started hydrating. She sent me a message that I've thought about many times since. I've been managing this disease for 9 years. Nobody ever asked me about water. Before I walk you through the full protocol, I want to name 3 mistakes I see almost universally in patients over 60 who are managing blood sugar. Mistake 1: waiting until you're thirsty. We've already covered the science here, but it's worth saying plainly. After 60, thirst is no longer an early warning system. By the time that signal arrives, your body may already be dehydrated enough to be affecting your readings. Don't wait for the signal. Build the habit around a schedule instead. Mistake 2: drinking large amounts all at once. Your body can only absorb roughly 1 cup of water every 15 to 20 minutes. What you consume beyond that doesn't stay in your cells. It bypasses them entirely and goes straight to your bladder. If you realize at 2 p.m. that you've barely had anything all day, 3 large glasses in quick succession won't catch you up. The fluid doesn't reach the cells that need it. Hydration requires consistent, spaced intake, not a single catch-up session. Mistake 3: drinking cold water. This one genuinely surprises most people. Cold water, anything below about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, prompts the blood vessels in your digestive system to tighten and constrict. That's the opposite of what you need when you're trying to support insulin movement through your bloodstream. Room temperature or slightly warm water keeps those vessels relaxed and open, which supports more efficient insulin delivery to cells. A small detail with a measurable effect. The 3-window protocol is built on one core principle. There are 3 specific windows in your day when hydration has the greatest leverage over blood sugar. Hit these windows consistently, and your body has the resources it needs to do its job. Miss them, even if your total daily water intake looks fine on paper, and much of that hydration isn't arriving at the right moment to make a difference. Window 1: the morning reset, within 15 minutes of waking. This is the most important window in the day. Here's why. While you sleep, your body prepares to wake by releasing a natural cortisol surge. In the right amount, cortisol is useful. It sharpens alertness and prepares your muscles for movement. But one of its effects is triggering your liver to release stored glucose into the bloodstream. This is sometimes called the dawn phenomenon, and for people managing diabetes, it's a major contributor to those frustrating morning highs that seem disconnected from what you ate. Here's what most people don't know. Adequate hydration first thing in the morning gives your kidneys the fluid they need to process and clear that cortisol-driven glucose release more efficiently. You're essentially giving your body's cleanup crew the resources to do their job. The morning reset, 350 milliliters, about 12 ounces of room temperature water. Add a small pinch of natural sea salt, which delivers sodium, potassium, and magnesium, the minerals your cells need to actually absorb and use the water you're drinking. Add a half squeeze of fresh lemon, which provides a small dose of vitamin C and creates a mild acidity that helps stabilize your body's initial glucose response to the first meal. Drink this before coffee, before breakfast, before your phone. Make it the first thing. Window 2, the pre-meal signal, 20 to 25 minutes before each meal. This window is about the rate at which glucose enters your bloodstream after eating. When you drink water before a meal, two things happen. First, it signals your digestive system to begin producing enzymes, which means your body is better prepared to process what you're about to eat. Second, it slightly dilutes the stomach environment during early digestion, which slows the pace at which carbohydrates are absorbed into the blood. The result? Instead of a sharp glucose spike after eating, you get a slower, steadier rise, one that your available insulin can actually keep up with. The amount doesn't need to be large, about 6 ounces, 1 standard cup, 20 to 25 minutes before the meal. Not at the table, before you sit down. This consistent pre-meal habit has been associated in studies with reductions in post-meal blood sugar spikes of up to 20%. I want to share Robert's experience here. He's 71, managed type 2 diabetes for 14 years, and had essentially accepted that high post-meal readings were just part of his life. After implementing this one window consistently for 3 weeks, his after-lunch readings dropped from averaging around 195 to consistently sitting around 162. I've eaten the same lunch for years. The only thing that changed was the glass of water before it. Window 3, during physical activity. This window is simpler because the principle is straightforward. Any physical movement, even a gentle walk, increases the rate at which your body is using and shifting glucose. If you're dehydrated during that movement, blood volume drops and glucose levels become less predictable. This is behind the erratic spikes and crashes many people with diabetes experience during exercise, even mild exercise. The fix isn't a large drink before you start. It's small, consistent sips during movement, about 4 ounces every 15 minutes. That keeps blood volume stable, which keeps glucose movement steady and predictable. Beyond the 3 windows, there are 4 supporting elements that determine how effective your hydration actually is. Element 1, temperature, room temperature, approximately 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold water constricts blood vessels. Room temperature water keeps them open and relaxed, which directly supports insulin circulation. Element 2, minerals. Pure water alone isn't sufficient for cellular hydration. Your cells require electrolytes, specifically sodium, potassium, and magnesium, to absorb water and put it to use. A small pinch of natural sea salt in your morning water is the simplest way to address this. Not iodized table salt, natural sea salt, which retains its trace mineral content. Element 3, consistency over volume. This isn't about flooding your system on one day and forgetting the next. It's about steady, predictable input. A practical formula. Take your body weight in pounds, divide by 2, and that gives you roughly your daily target in ounces. A 160-pound person needs about 80 ounces, roughly 10 cups, distributed throughout the day in regular amounts. Element 4, evening magnesium. Magnesium functions as a cofactor for insulin, meaning insulin requires adequate magnesium to work properly at the cellular level. Research suggests that the majority of adults over 60 are not getting sufficient magnesium through diet alone. Taking 200 to 250 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or citrate before sleep has been shown to support overnight insulin sensitivity and reduce morning glucose in people with type 2 diabetes. It also promotes more restorative sleep, which in itself supports blood sugar regulation the following day. Please check with your doctor before adding any supplement, including magnesium. It's generally well tolerated, but it may interact with certain medications. I want to close with Carol's story because I think it shows what consistent, realistic change actually looks like. Carol is 76. She was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 21 years ago and had been through the full cycle of adjustments over the decades. Medication changes, diet overhauls, a brief period on insulin that her doctor eventually walked back. When I met her, her A1C was 8.4. Her average daily readings were hovering around 190 to 210. She was tired, and she had started to accept that this was simply what her body did now. We implemented all 3 windows and the 4 essential elements over about 2 weeks. In week 1, her morning numbers were 10 to 12 points lower. Probably a coincidence, she said. By week 3, her fasting readings had settled consistently into the 155 to 170 range, a reliable 35-point drop. 3 months later, her A1C had come down to 7.1, down from 8.4. That is not a cure. It's not even close to one. But it was real, measurable, meaningful change from water used with intention. Carol's words, "I've spent 20 years fighting this condition. I didn't expect the thing that finally helped to be this simple." Here is your complete daily plan, simple enough to start tomorrow morning. Morning. Within 15 minutes of waking, 12 ounces room temperature water with a pinch of sea salt and half a fresh lemon. Before anything else. Before each meal, 6 ounces of room temperature water 20 to 25 minutes before eating. Not at the table, before you sit down. During activity, 4 ounces every 15 minutes while you're moving. Daily total, body weight in pounds divided by 2 equals target ounces. Spread throughout the day, not all at once. Before bed, 200 to 250 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or citrate. Check with your doctor first. One practical tip, keep a 24-ounce bottle visible on your counter or desk. Out of sight is out of mind. 3 refills covers most people's daily target. In the first week or 2, you may notice more frequent bathroom trips as your body recalibrates to consistent hydration. That typically normalizes by the 2nd week. Here is my challenge to you. Commit to just 14 days. 2 weeks. Then compare your average readings against where they were before you started. Most people who follow this consistently report a measurable shift within the first 7 days. Not dramatic, but real. And real adds up. I want to end with something I mean sincerely. Managing blood sugar after 60 is genuinely hard. The biology is working against you in ways that have nothing to do with effort or discipline. The thirst signals are quieter. The insulin is less efficient. The systems that used to run quietly in the background now need intentional support. That is not failure. That is physiology. And the fact that you're here, watching, learning, still looking for something that might actually help, that is what health in later years looks like. Not giving up, not giving in, just adapting with information. Water won't solve everything, but it might be solving more than you currently give it credit for, and costing you more than you realize when it's missing at the right moments. Start tomorrow, just the morning window, that one change, then come back and tell me what happened. I read every comment. If this video helped you, please share it with someone in your life who's managing this condition, because there are people close to you right now who need to hear this. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.